Hey, what's up? Dusk here, and welcome to Runescape Dragonwilds. This is a pretty interesting game, and so I want to tell you a little bit about it so that you can decide if you want to get the game for yourself or if you want to wait a little bit, because it is an early access title. And when it comes to early access these days, honestly, I think we have gotten past the point where we look at a game and be like, oh, this has got a lot of potential, because just far too many times those has potential titles end up being flops because developers just don't deliver on the potential. Unfortunately, I think where we're at with early access now is that the game needs to be fun now. You really need to have your money's worth now, because if not, you're probably just going to be wasting money on yet another flop. So I'm happy to say that Dragon Wilds is fun now. It's got a lot of polish and quality of life, and it's just fun now. You're going to get your money's worth out of it now, not maybe later. They also include the roadmap so that you can see what they've got all the way to the 1.0 experience, so you know what's going to be added to the game once you get to 1.0. And then after that, then we have all the post stuff, which of course isn't listed yet, but your standard DLCs and expansions and stuff like that that'll happen after all this. But this is what we have to look forward to for early access, and so this is really nice communication. So what we have is a game that is good and fun now, and once this stuff gets added, only just gets better. And I think that's where we have to be with early access. Okay, so right off the bat, how does the character creation? It's pretty decent. I made this little guy. He looks pretty cool. When you start a world, it's a lot like Valheim. You make your character, and then you pick the world you want to play that character in. So you can play your character in your own world, and if you got a co-op world with a friend, you can then take your character into that world. It's exactly like Valheim. It's a great system. Love to see it. Here's the gear that I've got too. Like, gear's nice and representative. What you're wearing is what you see. That's always a nice touch. The game is pretty immersive, and it's really nice visually. Also, I'll point out the settings here really quick. I kind of like this. Not that silly settings. I'm a Goomba. Okay, so video. This is pretty. So it's got the DLSS and all that stuff, but here it's got, you can auto detect your settings for quality if you want your game to look nicer and you're okay sacrificing your frames, or you have auto detect performance if you prefer to have a higher frame rate. I prefer to have a higher frame rate, so I just did auto detect performance. It hooked me up, and I've got a clean 60 frames per second. I did have to turn on VSync because I was getting some screen tearing, and boom, I'm good to go, and I don't have to worry about the rest of the settings. It's solid. It does a really good job of making those adjustments for you. When I put it on performance, I was closer to like 48 frames. It seems like, or sorry, quality, not performance. Quality put me at about like 48 frames. So that's still pretty good. Like, if you want that nice visual look, it'll make the game as nice as it can for the computer that you're on. So they've done just a fantastic job with that. Okay, let's go to like the litmus test that I personally apply to all these survival games, and that is, how good is the lumberjacking? The reason this is my personal litmus test is because resource gathering is something you're going to do a lot. And if the resource gathering is crappy or cheap, it does kind of take away from the experience. But if the resource gathering is really immersive or neat or interesting, that really adds to the experience and can tell you a lot about, how the rest of the game is going to be put together. So let's get out our logging axe, because you need a two-handed axe to chop a tree down. And when you go to chop the tree, you swing like this. Now, you do have an overhead chop. That only did 2 damage. So when the tree's standing up, you want to chop her down. Boom. And then once it's down, then you want to do the overhead. Now we do 23 damage. And that is just delightful, in my opinion. Just the charming bit of emotion. But here's the other quality of life bit. Once you break it up into logs, whoop, you just auto vacuum it all up. You don't have to click a button. It just jumps right into your inventory, and my God, do I love that. It's absolutely just the best. Thank you for this amazing quality of life. The only time you'll have to manually pick stuff up if it's something that spawns on the ground, like these loose rocks, or a plant, or logs. But this is a largely inefficient way to gather anyway. This is something you'll do when you first start playing. But once you get going and get your pickaxe, you know, and you want a decent amount of stone, you're going to go bust up rocks with your pickaxe, and you'll auto-vacuum that stuff up. You know, you'll quit picking up sticks, and you'll start chopping trees down, and as you saw, you know, you auto-vacuum it up. If you kill an animal or whatever... Oop, hold on, wrong weapon. Oh, made him mad. Squirrels are angry. Power attack! And, you know, you just vacuum up all the loot. And it's absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, just really good quality of life. Really immersive. I've been in one of the dungeons. The dungeon was cool. It was a golem dungeon. And it did have, like, spike traps in the floor. And it had some, like, flaming dart traps that you had to get through. And the timings were tight. I got hit more than a couple times trying to get through them. You had to kind of, like, run through and then do, like, a dodge roll to get through some of the stuff, which was great. The damage was hefty, but it wasn't, like, super insane. Also, I'm, like, thirsty. The other thing is like, I don't have to, like, right-click and select drink or anything. You just right-click on it. What else are you going to do with water? You're just going to drink it. There's, you know, it doesn't bog you down. It's just, you just right-click on stuff and it does the thing, right? Eat your food, drink your water, you're good to go, right? And so as you can see, like, it plays like a pretty fleshed out game, honestly. The building is pretty cool. It's your standard prefab style building. This is, you know, nothing new. You've probably all seen stuff like this, but it's a good system. You know, this is definitely an example of not reinventing the wheel. You know, just kind of doing whatever. And, you know, you can customize stuff. I made a little wooden chimney here just for fun. There was no need for that. This doesn't create smoke, but I just wanted to for aesthetic reasons because, you know, in Valheim you need to make a chimney for the smoke. So I just kind of like that aesthetic, so I just did it for fun. I just did it for fun. What's some of the other things? Oh, yeah. The game is called Dragonwilds. Dragons are a big theme in the game. And you are confronted with them right out of the gate. You know, your whole thing is that you need to eventually help hunt down and kill the dragon. But boy, at first, no sir. No sir, you are not. The dragons in this game feel like dragons. This valley was basically, this town in this valley was destroyed because a dragon helped out a bunch of orcs for whatever reason. But the dragon is still here, and it flies overhead every once in a while. And the wake it causes when it flies through the air will actually shake the trees after it flies over, which is crazy. If you catch its attention, it'll start doing strafing runs and bombarding this whole area. It'll leave you scrambling to, like, run for the hills, literally, to get away from it. You have no chance against this thing in your low-level, I don't know what I'm going to look like when I can handle it, but it's clearly you have a long ways to go. But it's super cool, though. Like, it's super cool. Like, as loud, too, the dragon is. It's just, I would love if it would just fly overhead right now, but it's really intermittent, thankfully. So I don't necessarily want to get attacked by it either. But yeah, so this is an early access title that is fun now. Has a lot of potential and might be fun later. The only thing it might be missing, and you know, I'm still in the very beginning. I don't, you know what kind of content's in here, but I'm almost certain that it's missing a lot of the end game content. We know because the roadmap shows off some of the end game content. But it does have dungeons, and it does have quite a bit going on. Here's the map. I don't know how much of it we can explore, but it seems to be pretty sizable. Here is the valley, the town I'm in, right here. Takes up about this much space. So you can kind of see, here's the little town, right here. That gives you about an idea, you know, on the size of the map. It's not astronomical, but it's not small. Like, there's quite a bit here. I do know that tower is supposedly one of our goals, right? Like, that's eventually where our quests are supposed to take us, is to that really, really, really tall tower. But yeah, like, this is it. If you think it looks fun, then, you know, odds are it's probably fun. As far as, like, play styles go, of course, it's got axes, so I'm going to play the axe. But, you know, you've got your bow, your maces. It does have stealth. There is magic. So, for example, wind step, there's a whole rune system, which is cool. And that's what these are. These are magical rifts over here, where magic is kind of erupting out of a geyser in the ground. And you bust up that rock, you mine that rock, and then you go back and you forge it into runes, and then you use that to fuel your magic. So, really cool that they actually storytell that much and visualize the magic as something that you construct like an actual resource. Just really, really good storytelling in the game. Really impressed by it. So I definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend it. But, you know, if you look at it and you're like, I don't know, that doesn't look fun to me, then it might not be for you, right? Anyway, I think that's pretty much going to sum it up for this one. I've showed off everything I've seen and enjoy about the game. And, of course, there was plenty of things I didn't go over. There's a lot of stuff here. But, yeah, if you want to see more, I'll probably be playing this more on stream. I played quite a bit today. I can upload that stuff to YouTube. If you want to see some playthroughs on YouTube, just let me know in the comments section below. And that's pretty much going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.